Hello everybody out there in the bookverse, it's Stephanie, and today I'm back with the mid-year book freakout tag. This was created quite a while ago. I feel like I have done this every year since I started BookTube, so I think it's a pretty old tag, but it's kind of a yearly tradition to do it. Plus, it's really fun for me to kind of look at the books that I have read so far this year. I tend to kind of have them jumbled together a little bit and can't remember always like which ones I read this year versus last year type thing. So I did have to go back and look at my planner because I'll like write my books in there so I could actually know which ones I read this year versus last year. But I've read some really good books this year. I've had some awesome reading, but there are still a lot of books that I want to read this year. So let's go ahead, jump into the tag. There are 13 questions on this. The first question on this list is the best book that I have read this year, and for me, that is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This was his first surprise secret novel that he released. It came out in January, and I love this book so much. It is so beautifully written. It had me engaged in the plot, the characters. I loved it. I was laughing during it. I was so invested in these characters' story, and it was just so beautiful and whimsical, very reminiscent of The Princess Bride, and I just loved every second in here. This is set within the Cosmere, but you can start here if you would like to, if you haven't really read any Brandon Sanderson. I absolutely love this book. I would say this is a great place to start. It was just beautiful, and I wish that I had time in my life to just go back and reread this book right now, but I have too much else to do. But yes, this book is absolutely phenomenal, and I'd say this is, my favorite book of the read. My favorite read of the year so far. Next question is the best sequel that I have read, and I promise this whole list is not going to be Brandon Sanderson, but that is The Lost Metal, which is the fourth and final book in the Wax and Wayne series. It is a Mistborn novel, second era Mistborn, and I loved it. I feel that Brandon Sanderson is very good at nailing endings. He writes very good conclusions to his series, in my opinion, from what I have read. And this book was no exception. I absolutely loved it. I was laughing and crying, and I adored the characters. I think the way that we went with this world was extremely interesting. It opened up the Cosmere so much. There's so much information and world building done in this book, but it was done with these characters that you're already so invested in and love from the first three books in this series. And I just think overall this was the perfect ending. He did so well with it. This was such an amazing sequel, and it was just so good. I can't wait for next era of Mistborn. I have no idea when that's planning to be coming out, but I am so excited for it. So the next question is, what new release have I not read yet that I really want to get to? And I have a couple answers for this. I have The Atlas Paradox by Olivia Blake. This is the sequel to the Atlas 6. I absolutely loved the Atlas 6. I read it, it was 2 years ago, I think, or like a year and a half ago, and absolutely loved it. The sequel came out, I think, in January. I could be wrong. It could be December. I'm not positive, but I think it was January, and I was planning on reading it right as soon as it came out. I pre-ordered the special edition from Barnes & Noble because I thought it was cool with the gold, and I just haven't gotten to it. I'm really sad. I really want to. The other book on that list is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second book in the Alex Stern series, the sequel to Ninth House. I loved Ninth House. Ninth House was one of my absolute favorite reads the year that I read it. I can't remember. Was it 2020? It might have been something like 2020. Actually, I think it might have been 2019. It was quite a while ago. And this book, I, again, was planning on reading it as soon as it came out, and I just didn't get to it, and I feel like it's just been pushed off so long. I also feel like I kind of want to read it more in like the fall time because it has the creepy dark academia vibes. Both of these are dark academia books, so maybe I need to do like a dark academia vlog and knock these out in there. But yeah, these two I definitely need to read. Well, I'm so excited for them. I still am excited for them, but I need to put them on the list, prioritize them, get them done. This next question is a little bit difficult for me. It is, what is my most anticipated new release for the rest of the year? And I feel like I don't really know a ton of books that are coming out for the rest of the year. I haven't been paying that much attention. I've been super busy, but one of them I am excited for the book, but I'm more excited for like the conference that comes along with it, and that is Defiant by Brandon Sanderson. This is the fourth and final book in his Skyward series. This is his YA sci-fi series, and this will be the book that is released for his Dragonsteel conference this year. I love Dragonsteel. It's so much fun to go, and I'm not as excited for it as I am for some of his other releases, but this one I'm excited mainly because of the conference, also excited for the book, but mainly because of the conference. I am also looking forward to A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. I feel like I have loved the 2 books by Ava Reed that I have read so far, so I'm really looking forward to this one. I've heard really great reviews from ARC readers, so definitely anticipating this one. I don't remember when it's coming out, so I will put the release date here for you if it has been announced. And then, of course, I also am looking forward to the 2 other surprise books that are going to be released during the year of Sanderson. So I think one more of them is going to be within the Cosmere and one isn't. I'm not positive, but I think that's how it goes. So I'm definitely looking forward to those ones as well. Next question was the biggest disappointment of the year so far. And I had some books that I didn't like, but I feel like the biggest disappointment was probably Normal People by Sally Rooney. I was kind of looking forward to reading some Sally Rooney, seeing if I liked her. There are so many people who are just obsessed with her writing. Absolutely love how she writes people and just her flawed characters, and I did not like it. I didn't really like Sally Rooney. I didn't like any of the characters. I didn't really even like her writing style overall. Like, her books just were not for me. So Normal People by Sally Rooney, it was just not a pleasant time reading this book. It was fine. It was really easy to read, but like I didn't enjoy it. And the biggest surprise for 2023 so far, I think, is going to go to The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshni Chokshi. This one was a recommendation from my friend Angela, and thank you so much, Angela, because I absolutely loved this book. This was beautiful. It was so well written. The gothic, atmospheric vibes of this book were just everything that I needed. I absolutely loved it. I like the mystery to it. I kind of like the magical realism that was in there, where it was like, is this magical? Is this going on inside their head? What is happening here? Loved this book so much. I did anticipate enjoying it going in, but I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I definitely would read this book again. I thought this was just phenomenally written, and I enjoyed like my entire time in this book. The next question is a favorite new author, and for me, I am kind of bending this one a little bit because I did read one of her books last year and then another one this year, so I'm counting it because like after I kind of have to have read 2 books by the author, I think, to kind of count that. So I'm going with T. Kingfisher for this choice. This is Nettle and Bone, which I read last year, but I did read What Moves the Dead this year and absolutely loved it. I've loved both the books by T. Kingfisher so far. I feel like I'm going to enjoy everything that she writes. I just love her writing style, her atmospheres, her characters, the way she develops her books. I also feel like she writes very short books, but I feel like it is enough. It's adequate, which I do kind of struggle with sometimes with shorter books, especially shorter fantasy books. So yeah, T. Kingfisher, I need to read more from this author, but the 2 books that I have read so far I've absolutely loved. I am gonna skip over this next question. It is your new fictional crush. I don't really have one, to be honest. I feel like I haven't crushed on any of the characters in the books that I am reading, so I'm just gonna skip past this one for now. My next question is a new favorite character. And for this, I decided to go with Grub from The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding. I really enjoyed this book so much. I think it was really well done. The characters in here were really well written. I loved like kind of the slow expansion of the world building. And I particularly loved a character in here named Grub. I feel like we kind of got a slow start with this character, and the more we got to know him, he was funny in like, I don't know, it was in his own unique way, and he also was like super talented, and just overall, he was a great character. So well written. I feel like I can't talk too terribly much about it because I don't want to give away spoilers to this book, but I loved Grub. He was a good time. He was such a great addition to this book, and I think it made me love it so much more. So yeah, I'm gonna go with him. The next question is a book that made me cry. And for this one, I am definitely going to be going with Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. This is the final book in her Throne of Glass series. I'm sorry, I did try to find the cover for this, but it's in like a tub that is in my closet that is buried under other tubs. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to dig it out for one cover because I'm just going to take it back off again and stick it back on the shelf. So we're going coverless. I will put the cover up here though, so you can see what the cover of this book looks like. I didn't cry a lot in this book. There were some like deaths in this book, as you would anticipate if you've read the series, or even if you started the series, like you could see this coming. But there were 2 chapters in here that I was just emotionally wrecked reading. I feel like these were characters that I actually really cared about and loved. There was another one that I also did too. I feel like there's some where like I wouldn't have cared as much, but these ones in particular, yeah, definitely did. It was so rough. Ugh, it hurt. And so I definitely did cry during those points of that book. Okay, the next question is a book that made me happy. And for this one, I have been trying not to double up on books for this tag. I didn't want to have one book for a bunch of the prompts, but I'm gonna have to go with Trust of the Emerald Sea. I was just happy reading this book. It was a great, happy, cozy comfort read book, and I absolutely loved it. So Trust the Emerald Sea is going to go on here as well. I was smiling reading this book. I felt just like joy inside reading this book. So yeah, definitely I have to go with Trust the Emerald Sea for this one. I feel like it was just so well done, so well written, and I feel like it could count as a cozy fantasy. It could fit into that category. The penultimate prompt is the most beautiful book that you purchased or received. And honorable mention is going to go to Trust because it's stunning. I mean, like, oh my gosh, look at that. It's absolutely gorgeous. But it's not going to because it can't get this prompt. So I do have a few books picked out for this one. I have some books that I feel like have the most beautiful sprayed edges of books that I have received. And these ones I'm giving to the Broken Binding edition of the, Roots of Chaos series. But oh my gosh, look at these gorgeous dragons on the side. I absolutely love them. I think they're stunning. And then for like kind of the most beautiful overall special edition that I got, I think it's going to go to The Adventures of Amin al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I think this book is just beautiful, all sides. It has really pretty sprayed edges as well. But one of my favorite aspects of it is this gorgeous map on the inside. It has like gold foiling on it. It's absolutely stunning. It's also, just like, let me take the cover off so I don't ruin it. It also has like a different map here on the back, which also has gold foiling. Is absolutely gorgeous. And then this under the dust jacket, I think is absolutely stunning. So this one for kind of like overall presentation, I'm going to go with it. But I also kind of want to mention a book that I think it's normal published. Like, it's a normally published book that also is stunning, and that's Fourth Wing. I think that this beautiful, like, metallic, holographic, I don't know what you call it, type cover is absolutely gorgeous. The sprayed edges are really pretty. So yeah, I'm gonna like give also a mention to Fourth Wing. Oh, camera died right before the final question. But the final question is books that I need to read before the end of the year. And I grabbed like 3 for this just because I feel like I have more that I need to read. But one of them I have here is Master Artificer by Justin T. Call. This is the sequel to Master of Sorrows. I have been saying I'm going to read this, I think, for like a couple years now. It's ridiculous. I bought this book on release day, like went out, got it specifically, and still have not read it. So I have to read this year. I also have Wrath by John Gwynne. This is the 4th and final book in his Faithful and the Fallen series, which I have been reading, absolutely loving. I read Ruin this month, finally, so I need to finish out this series. Again, it's been like 2 years coming. This needs to happen. And also City of Brass. Honestly, the entire David series I would love to read this year, but definitely City of Brass needs to happen. I've been saying this again for years that I'm going to read this book, and so I definitely need this one to make it. It needs to happen this year. Before the end of 2023, I'm going to have read this. Okay, that is the end of the mid-year book tag. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite book is that you have read so far this year. And if you've done this tag, let me know as well. I actually really love watching this one. This is one of my favorite tags to watch. I just like to see where everyone's at for the year. And as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more from me, hit the subscribe button down below and the bell icon so you'll be notified when I post new content. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye.